Well, it's the moment that nobody's been waiting for. KISSUES, episode 1. I'm Drew Mayans, joined by this crazy man on my side who has spent the last 2 nights crying, smiling, being very angry, and just rejoicing in all that is the band that rocks and rolls all night and parties every day. KISS. And this is Robert Vitality.
Yes, we can go by DJ Unsound Rob too. I don't know. I love
DJ
that because that is
Unsound
as
Rob.
ridiculous as it goes, or Unsound Rob because it's on the social and the YouTube. But we should get a proper channel. Hopefully we get a proper channel going here before we post this. And we start this adventure that nobody's asking for except maybe 3 or 4 people.
You know, this is not really something that people are going to be asking for, but I think if this finds the right sect of people, this could be very helpful for a lot of people that are going through a lot of I don't know. I mean, you're about to see some serious fandom at its highest level. And I'm not going to say I'm not a big fan of a lot of bands and different forms of media consumption. However, you see how much stuff is behind the man next to me.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I don't consider myself a collector. I've accumulated, but I'm a consumer of art, Drew.
Now, do you see it? Would you call yourself a hoarder?
No, this is a packed room because KISSUES HQ is still under construction. Okay, this is the only finished room, so a lot of stuff is migrated while there's saws and sheetrock and things happening. That's how impromptu. Okay, everyone, this came together. This is an emergency call. I put the call in right this morning to Drew. I said, Drew, look, we should address that KISS played their final 2 shows, or the final show at Madison Square Garden on their end of the road tour, which began in 2000. Believe it was 19 already.
But is it their final shows?
And that's not the issue. That's not the KISSUE. We'll get there. It's going to be really how, when, and what comes along with that, with doing it the way it was done, because there's no secrets right now. I'm not going to get too in the weeds of what happened, but just to recap, first of all, it's been an emotionally exhaustive couple of days. Not in my right mind, which is good, which is what we want. But I want to be honest. I have a very hard time going on record with opinions. I've obviously not tried to be on podcasts. I don't want this to be known, but this is our thing, man. This is our thing. I'm not going to go give this to somebody else. You know, this is exactly what this should be. But no, I'm not a hoarder, to go to your question. I feel like I accumulated stuff. I used to live in a smaller place. I had a storage unit for things, right? And it built up over time, and you don't realize what happens if you live there for 15 years and like you just go to shows and you get your album signed or whatever, go back and you always bought CDs. You never stopped buying records. You just kind of always got them, so they have to go somewhere. Then you move, and then it all has to come with you, and it comes out of the box, and then it gets a little scary. And this is just a very messy room. The vantage point you have is just obviously what it is, and it does.
I mean, it really speaks to exactly what we're going for here.
It sets the table, even though this is not a set design. This is something that just came very naturally today. I said, Drew, we have to do this. I'm on fire. It's been an emotional few days with the ups and downs of KISS and what they've done. And without doing an episode 0 right now, Drew, KISS fan or not a KISS fan?
You know,
right on the spot.
I know a couple songs. Listen,
You
I
look it up.
respect their insane costume design, their years and years of history, everything that goes into what makes you and so many others huge fans of this band. I've never really taken the time to get into them. I don't
Yeah.
really care if I do or don't. Um, it's not like I'm going to be able to see them in physical form on tour anymore, in the flesh specifically. But yeah, no, I am a huge fan of a lot of bands and music in general, and
Yeah.
I understand fandom to a big degree, collecting to a big degree. I've been collecting since I was a kid, all sorts of different things, from rocks to baseball cards to and then records and all sorts of things since then too. So I know the insanity. I feel like I am heading into that and getting worse and worse as years go by. And maybe this podcast is a way for me to see this and stop myself before we get to this
We
presentation you've got
yeah,
going
you
on here.
first of all, you're very sensible. You're very sensible. I've seen you make some sensible decisions, you know, a few.
Mm.
And but we overlap on the Venn diagram. There's a lot of
Sure.
overlap here. There's some things that we certainly have in common. Um, music, obviously, outside of Kiss, which we're not here to be a Kiss podcast. We're not here to delve into the album battles, songs, what you think of Live One versus Live Two.
You
This is
guys
really, I
don't
think, just
want
to go into the fandom and the God, I really don't want to use words like sickness. It's not a sickness. You know, I watch a collector channel on YouTube. Watching somebody else explain away their stuff, you really can't hold, like I can't justify a lot of my, you see somebody else, you're like, oh yeah, all right. You don't realize you have a problem. And here I, but like I said, I'm not a collector, man. I like to enjoy. If I go someplace, it's experiential. Okay, it's more. It's not a collecting. I don't feel like that catch 'em all thing,
mm.
going on. It's
So
really
it's experience first for you.
yeah, and it's I don't know. It ties into other things.
But you've
A
had
lot of
so many experiences that now the room is
the
overflowing.
well, and that's the thing. So these things are all based on experiences, right? I mean the the multitude of signed Kiss paraphernalia. It all really has a meaning. And what's sad is there's a lot that's away. Kiss HQ is not, KISSUES HQ, not finished yet. When it is, I mean, the amount of 8x10s with me and every member and non-member in relation to Kiss will be on my wall proudly. Um, they are such a fun band. They are, and are they my? I think they have to be my favorite band by default. I don't need a favorite band. I don't need them to be my favorite band. They just have to be the band that I can go and enjoy. And I've been on like this roller coaster with Kiss, obviously, for all these years, as we all have. And that's why this call to action happened today, because I guess we'll get into it.
Yeah, well, here we
Kiss
go.
played
I
their
mean,
final show, or did they? And how? And in what form? We all expected something to happen. And I have to say, let's just get to what happened. And then I think I could go through some of the reason why it could have been done more tactfully, or even done the same way if other things had happened. Maybe one or two very important things.
now, just to clarify, I was
Yes.
not there. I live very far away from New York at this point. I'm from New York originally, but no, I did not make it to the
Yes.
shows. Maybe I would have been pressured into going if I was still living in New York by a certain someone on the other side of this chat. But no, I was just kind of listening in and experiencing it through Rob this weekend, hearing about everything that was going on. And I woke up to a headline today that blew
All
my
right.
mind.
Did it as a non-Kiss fan? Because I don't forget me. We know I'm going to have an opinion on this, like in a pointed way.
Mm,
For somebody who just saw that, like a band, let's call it a legacy band that has now ended their touring career and now are very much a brand. Okay.
right.
And they're going to go activate that brand like you would any other brand, insert brand name here. So
Well, we
from the
should be clear about what it
standpoint,
is.
yes,
To
let's talk about
anyone who
exactly
doesn't
what it is.
know,
Okay.
they are basically done as a physical, the real Kiss members on stage, but they are going virtual. The virtual Kiss band. We don't know exactly the details of what's going to happen, but my guess is that they're going to continue to play shows in this weird digital Guitar Hero looking thing.
Yeah,
And
augmented reality is kind of how
right,
I
I mean,
what
look,
I took it.
like
Not
Gorillas,
virtual
this isn't
reality.
the first time Gorillas has done this. There is a band on stage. I don't really know what extent they're going to
Right.
take with this sort of thing,
Could there
but
be
we do
virtual
know we
headsets for
right.
participants to wear? So we don't know. Could this be the Scooby-Doo adventure that can go to, the Alive 75 stage, or it can go to the Dynasty tour if you wanted to? I don't know.
Yeah.
How vast and expansive or what the experience could be. Is it going to be in theaters? Like, where's it going to be?
The scary thing is looking back, like if we move ahead here and this flops, this is going to be hysterical to look back on. It's hard to say. Like this could either like not get a lot of these people's interest. This could be a total waste of everyone's time and money. Um, Probably won't because the fandom is just so intense and they're going to want to experience something to some degree, I think. But it also if it is successful, this is something that other giant brands and bands, the Beatles, I don't know, something like that could explore to give people this experience in person, because now we're starting to explore whether or not people need those people necessarily to be on the stage or if they just need to hear the songs.
Wow, that is so wild, but you're right. And the crazy thing is, you've seen it. So I don't know what precedent has been set. I haven't watched any of the how they've made this. I've seen the video they've showed us last night. I've went to the video and I've seen the one video that you click on the link to see what Kiss is now becoming. So here's the thing, like you said, and it's important to note that, like, we don't know right now if it's going to flop or how it's going to go or what the companies involved are really doing. They work with ABBA on that thing that ABBA did recently.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of that's. So I wanted to look at that, but I'm not trying to go down this road yet. This is not about that.
There's
This is
also
definitely
some involvement from George Lucas's company as well.
sure.
That's behind this. Now, also while we're on the topic too, I've thought about literally yesterday in Fortnite, Eminem was introduced into the game. So, like, and there's this virtual Eminem that's coming out in the video game performing his songs, and like Travis Scott has done this, and numerous other artists as well. So, I don't know if that's kind of the path that they're looking to take, whether it's like in a video game or its own live show or something like that, but there's just like endless opportunity, whether or not it's actually artistic and like, I don't know, it's hard to
There's so
say, but
many
we'll get
angles.
into that.
There's so many angles, Drew. As you're saying that, I'm thinking about likeness rights in a new medium and what that means to two members who sold their likeness rights a while ago. And I hope people, like, I don't know, talk about that, because it is certainly something that they are doing. I didn't graduate, but I went to college for music business and technology. But I went there and I learned a lot, and I've always kept up with that side of things as far as like trying to understand why, right? There's always the why. Why do things go the way they are on a business side? And I really think that they are going to find out, because there's been so, there's been so many heartbreaking moments for true Kiss fans. And here we are, some of them 50 years later, that have been with this band for 50 years. And
Why
here's
don't
the
you
rub.
get into that
We're
a little
getting
bit?
right into it right now. Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the rub. So many people that have been with the band 50 years, 40 years, 25 years, like you've been there for so long. They've hyped the end of the road, the last show. We're all going, and it's how are they going to end it? Are they going to invite people? Are people going to show up? Former members, reunion, like so much nonsense over the past 4 or 5 years since they announced it. Then there was COVID. This tour has gone on for a long time. The things that was announced yesterday, it didn't happen a year ago. It happened 4 or 5 years ago. Like, they have been all along going, it's not the end of the road. This is us introducing a new venture, a new form of way to manage the brand. They're older. They're still Kiss, right? They're just not in the makeup on stage doing the big show that ended at Madison Square Garden. What they did for 50 years, playing live music for their fans, the people that continually went. Yes, they have always tried to play to new fans and newer crowd, and they don't care if you're there for the first time or the 500th time. They don't. They care that you're there, right? So they've done this for 50 years, and I feel like this move is for the next generation of fans, some who were there with their families and parents. But if I'm being honest, the Kiss fans that were there, right, the people who have devoted our lives to this, not that we're looking for too much, right? I had very little expectations for this to be any different than any of the 12 shows I've seen on this tour. I felt like I was going to go. It was going to be the same thing, but there was going to be some moments that were going to be harder to get out and come from the heart. Now, two things to consider as before they made this announcement the way they did. And the rub is that they didn't do this in a way, they gave it no time. They sprang it on you. Of course, they used the pay-per-view platform to sell something, but it just felt really cold and calculated. And there was no acknowledgement. Point number 1A, no acknowledgement on the last show that it was the final live show, the final live performance. They literally, Drew, went right into, at the end, when you thought it was going to come from the heart, it was just, it's a new era. And here's the video. And they fade into the smoke and they start the video. So the show ends where you're looking for something and you're like, what? I thought we were all going to be hugging. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Go out on a high note. But what that was is like a promo that works on, I don't know, their website, Netflix, Facebook. I don't know. That's great. It's great.
And they got all of their biggest fans in attendance for this promo. Everyone who
around the
traveled
world
for this show was there to see that. So they're trying to get the biggest fans behind them on this thing. Now, one thing that I'm wondering is like, was that all intentional? Like the lack of, I don't know, emotion, I guess, that you got, like, was that to try to sell this thing more?
So here's the difference between night 1 and night 2. And I think that's important to state, right? So
Yeah.
I went night 1 with my family, daughter, my wife. We went there. We sat section 120, really nice, lower bowl, great seats. I thought Kiss were a little bit nervous and shaky, but they were feeling it. It was not being filmed. It was very much a standard show. I feel like they broke curfew the first night, and they didn't do that the second night, which is kind of so weird. So they ran late the first night without the pay-per-view. I don't know. I think that's exactly what happened. But the point is, the first night, there was so many moments where you could tell it was hitting Paul, and there were so many moments where it got to me. You know, I was there with my family, my daughter seeing her third Kiss show, her final Kiss show at the age of 7. And I'm a proud dad. I saw Kiss first at Madison Square Garden in 1996.
I was one day old.
Drew was born. Wow.
Literally one day old.
I don't know what year I was in high school, but I want to say like it could have been junior, senior year. And I will say, at the time, I was a Kiss fan who was kind of almost sad they were putting the makeup on and canceling the band that I fell in love with Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer at the time in that lineup, post Eric Carr, who passed away, which was sad. And that's kind of when I got into Kiss, and I bought Revenge, and that's where my entry point is to this band. So they did the Unplug, and Ace and Peter came back, and voila, we got the reunion, and there's things involved. But the truth of the matter is, with all of that, I've never been to another show in my life that had so much energy in the room as that first night. I mean, I've seen a lot of shows. I'm not going to say that they're not special, but I'm talking the constant, like, you're there. Yeah, this is like, wow. People were waiting their whole lives. I mean, people generations above me were like, man, just enthused. And that's not what the last 2 nights were. I'm not going there 12 times on this tour to go the best musical experience. I'm not there for jazz, man. I'm there for fucking, sorry, graphic here. This is all amazing because I'm just going to say this, like, all these songs are about or from the Crotch. Okay. All these songs are about one of their members' crotches. So look at what we're talking about here 50 years later after a band plays. And to be honest with you, I felt blindsided. I felt a little
Yeah,
bit
so
blindsided
let's
because
get
it
into
was
that.
too soon. So too soon is the
Right.
theme here. Okay. Because the fact is, there was no victory lap there at the end. It was the same. We knew we were going to get the same show with the little adjustments. Like, if you've seen it, I've seen like every leg of the tour. So I've seen all the like the one slot that's changed with the song. Yeah, I've seen them all. And at this point, I knew exactly what we were going to get. And so night one, it was very much like that show, but with a little bit more like, oh, there was some energy in the air because it was a lot of like, what's going to happen? Oh my gosh, how's this going to end? This is night one, and I had those moments, and there's two moments that got me. Okay. Here's what made me cry night one. First thing, Paul does this little rap before a song where he's gonna say, in 1972, I drove a taxi cab to New York City, and I dropped a couple of people off at Madison Square Garden to see Elvis Presley. And I told them, one day I'm going to be there with my band, and people are going to come to see me with Kiss. All right. So maybe they weren't even Kiss yet, and it was Wicked Lester. Maybe it never happened. I don't care. But when he said that, the way he said it, it kind of just hit me different than all the other times. Right. And here's what made me lose. He didn't really say too much other than like nothing pointed, nothing specific, but he always sends like, we'll see you next time. Or, but he ended with see ya. And it was like, right in the heart.
Oh, no next
Dagger.
time.
Yeah, right there. Like, it's over.
Now, was
It's
there
over.
an assumption that most of the people that went the first night were going to go the second night as well?
I mean, not everybody, but yeah, most people. And
Yeah.
like you said, people are coming from all around the world. There's people that can't get tickets. They're not going to pay that much money. I heard that the front row last night was going for like insane amounts of money, like 18,500 before the show. Like, and people were buying them. These are sold like front row, right? Like an hour or so before the show. And truth be told, I got very lucky. A buddy of mine that went, I had my ticket, they had their tickets, and met up. Great, going in, gives me a call. He goes, so something just changed. Floor, row 12, center, row B. And I was like, okay. I had 105, which is fine. Great. I was happy. I said, you know what, bud? If you find somebody, great. I said, I got my ticket because it would have had to be a buy and sell thing, sell mine, buy another. Point being, without getting into the weeds, I got front. I mean, this was beyond my wildest expectations to go with a really good buddy, and with you're there with everybody, man, with the Chris Angels and the Sebastian Bachs and the John Fives and the Dean Del Rey's, all the stars were there.
What a crew.
I didn't see Charlie from Anthrax, but the point is, like, there's what you expected from that crowd down there, especially because, like, when you're there in the lower bowls or whatever in the arena, like, you look at those folks, you're staring like, who's there? Oh, there's the couch in the back for the kids. The kids are all on a couch, like Gina Paul's kids. So night one, total emotions. After the show, they ended like they always do with house lights, Kiss Loves You, New York, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, 2, off the Bill and Ted soundtrack, which ends at the point after the harmony with Eric Carr. There's a harmony vocal. It's just two vocals, Paul and Eric Carr. And it ends on a wow every time. And then men are sitting there hugging their families, and you see it all around. It was such an emotional night. And like, people were sort of on the edge, but it wasn't like, it was tempered, right? Night 2. Now, all these people, mind you, that I kind of run into, that I've known from expos and from all walks of life, they've been in the city all week long doing, I don't know if you saw, the Empire State Building was lit up with Kiss. That got me this week. The Empire State Building, and like, as a band that paid their way to the observatory to just take a photo, right, out of nowhere. A young band today can go to the Empire State Building, right? Take a photo. Great. Maybe they go somewhere there. Who knows? To think that they went there in that getup, and 50 years later, that's what worked. They're a proof of concept band like no other to me, and belief in Kiss to me represents all that is powerful through music and what can be accomplished, man. Party, rock and roll, songs about your crotch. But you know what I mean? Like just going out there and celebrating life and maybe not getting too heavy or heady, because when they did, it kind of went sideways for them. That's not the band. They're not trying to be that band. They very much are a pointed band in what they do and how they present themselves. So night 2, pay-per-view, recorded. They had chairs, Desmond Child on stage, the kids. It was a big production. They're selling it, right? Which was announced 1 week ago. You bought your tickets because there was no other way to be there until 1 week ago, where you could have just, I'm just saying, right? If you moved heaven on earth, like so many Kiss fans have done, taking out the second mortgage, right? And you've done what you felt you had to do. Now there was a second option for like, I don't know, $40. Okay. Then there's a countdown that begins like a few hours before the show, and we all get an email. Kiss Online sends us all the email, right?
I did not get that email.
Countdown. Yeah, Drew, I got to sign you up on the mailing list. Remind me. I'll make the note right here. So the email comes out and it's buzzing, man. My buddies and people are like, what's going on? What's going to be? Is it going to be Evan? Is it going to be Paul's son who opened the show with his own band? The issue is 10 to 15 miles away in New Jersey. There's our buddies Ace Frehley and Peter Criss in their homes or wherever they've chosen to be. They're not there. And there's some gratuitous guitar solo with Paul and Tommy where it is not cool. I'm sorry. It's not cool because it took away time from, and everybody knows, if you know, but not nobody on this podcast. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but things were done that we've taken away time, and it's a pay-per-view night too, and it's moving fast, and we're just trying to like see how is it going to end? What's that thing going to be for us, right? Or how are we going to say not goodbye, or just it's the end of the road. But show rock and roll all night, the confetti, the show is just at a pace. It's on time. It's cut for pay-per-view. They really did a nice job, in that sense. Kept the energy moving. No criticisms of the show. And even those stories that Paul told that would have got me night 1, it was just a little different because it was all anticipation. Show is just about over.
Do you think that it would have been different if you didn't go the first night? Do you think that like those moments would have hit you the way they did on Friday if you didn't already experience them the day before?
Yes, you have to remember, like everybody around you is seeing their first show on this tour. I mean, a jaded guy on his 13th tour that's like, I've seen it all and this and that. Okay, take your phone out. This is where you get them flying. This is where you get them spitting fire, whatever. That's what happens. You've been there. Yes, so there's other people. You have to respect their appearances. There was a guy in front of us that he was the Honky Tonk Man or Elvis. I mean, he may have been somebody, I don't know, but this guy was like in awe, and I'm talking like guys so much older than me, like maybe it was their first show. When we were there the first night, the gentleman behind me and his relative, he listened to the first album when it came out, and that was his first Kiss show. So second to last show was his first show. So you got to respect that. And that's people can have different reactions, but it's all right. I don't know how but the people, I hate to say it, that I guess I know, we've all been to plenty of shows. So I guess I'm speaking to the people, and I'm not talking to like a minority. I'm talking to like the half the people, at least, that were there, that have brought their families, introducing a new generation, which is fine, what you want to do. The way they did it with just a promo clip thrown on a screen, which was kind of Spinal Tapish, like there was way too much fog in the room. You couldn't even fucking see it for the first like minute or so. Like, you really looked at it like, this is crazy. They even botched this. They botched a few things that night with the fans, but one of them was, it's the end of the road, but it's the beginning of a new era. We'll see you in your dreams in all forms of media, whatever. And we're all, again, falling on each other like Sal from Practical Jokers. If you see that show, when he falls down and he laughs, he just like falls and he holds people. Everybody's just like dying and falling down, and we're trying to hold each other up and be like, no, what? And I have it on video. It was kind of wild and a little bit cold. I don't know. And like I said, it was just, it
that
took
was the
us
word I was
all
going to
off guard.
say. Right. And so what happened after that? Was that the lights came on? That was it?
So the promo clip is the song they've played before, but now with virtual reality. Instead of just Kiss Loves You New York in the song, It's the promo clip in the song. This is not a critique about the media or what they're going to do or what that. It's inevitable, right? It's inevitable that they're going to try something and that they want to relaunch, but they didn't really treat it as the end of something special, which it was for many people. And
Like they
people
skipped
that
a step.
they really just, we're going to sell it. We use this opportunity like they should have. All they had to do really was kind of acknowledge something a little bit before that. Even if it was another like 30 seconds of just like a real impassioned speech. Nobody saw tears, up there. It wasn't like this a different, you've seen bands when they even get like a special performance, right? Like
even the end of a tour,
right.
can
Last
be an
show of the
emotional
tour,
thing,
hometown shows,
right?
whatever. Any reason to just be a little bit more human. But
right.
That's not what we're doing. We're dealing with ego, and the same ego that's given us all this greatness, right? To celebrate from the crotch.
It's complicated.
Could never temper itself to be something that I guess normal folks might say this is what you should do. Because they're not doing, let me tell you, like they're not concerned about the KISS fans, but the call to action today, because last night I drove home much later after the show trying to get my thoughts together, and it just didn't feel like, it was like somebody, you ever get like the wind knocked out of you. It's exactly how I would describe it. Got the wind knocked out of me. It cheapened all the KISS confetti, Drew. This is how absolutely fresh the show is. Okay, this is how fresh the wound is. Okay, we got our night one wristbands and night one confetti labeled. We don't even have night two's confetti labeled, Drew.
See, this is a big part of why we wanted to start this podcast. The confetti was a real big breaking point there. I've never seen this kind of, I don't know what you even want to call this, bagging confetti experience.
It's
I don't know, but
ritual. It's ritual and it's
sure.
Tradition for sure.
Yep.
And like I said, I wasn't with KISS for so many years. This was not tradition for me in any way. The reason I went back out, and I should say this, the reason why I started going to see KISS again, Rob, why are you so negative about KISS? And now but you're there 13 times, right? That's part of the KISSUES. But part of it is to celebrate the band that I love with the friends that I've made along the way that all worship at this altar. Now, we all love other bands and other music, right? But there's something about this band, whether it overlaps between our imagination and some reality. But here's the thing, by doing this, just gave everybody that criticizes us and this band and the reasons for us loving this band, we lost every ounce. I'm not even saying of credibility. You've never given us credibility. But what we don't have anymore is what can you really say? It's just now it went from a band to a brand, especially once rights were sold during the reunion tour, to now it's a brand. And I don't fault them.
I mean, that's what it's going to have to be from this. I mean, like you said, his voice is declining as is. Like this was kind of inevitable. It's just more, it's less that than it is like, okay, last night should have felt a little more sentimental than it did. And that's the part that's getting to you. Right.
Because when you're there, you go, this doesn't have to end. You don't feel it needs to end when it's there. So you're like, there should be some type of, I don't know, respect paid to what you've done live, instead of just going all cartoon right away. You could have just, I don't know, for the people that wanted that moment with each other, it was a weird vibe. It was so like, people were like, what the fuck? Checking their phones and not being in the moment that we should have been. Now, what KISS could have done, which would have been really nice for everybody, is thrown up a nice little sign that said, on your way out, please, we've decided to gift you all very limited golden tickets with certificates in a nice box in a gift set box, which, if you know anything about this band, merchandise. I mean, the fact that these like wristbands, they had these on the seats. Okay. They had these on the seats, like tied around this. I mean, who the crowd you're trusting with this? We're not Taylor Swift fans, man. Okay. I'm a Swiftie myself, but I'm saying this group of collective people, we're not going to sit there and go, which one's mine? Which one's yours? People took each other's shit everywhere. Right. Oh, yeah. So my point is, you couldn't put a gift bag We couldn't be Oprah. Ever you get a gift set, it's not under your seat. We had to wait. And now here's the problem from when we left. Okay, after the show, and of course, then like, look, it's a union house. People have to do their jobs there. I know people that do their jobs in Madison Square Garden. They have to tell you to leave. Fair. You know, some people are a little bit more aggressive about it. Some people are obviously like wanna. It's weird. Like if night one was the wake and this was the funeral, it was like it really felt like something went wrong. Like, you know, and we didn't know how to process it. And then there's all wild shit going on. Like you got like Doc McGee taking photo ops by the soundboard. You got people hanging out with John Five. Everybody's trying to get to like Sebastian. I'm like, people are just like running around, and you're like, what? And I'm just getting my streamers and my confetti and my balloons, you know, to take home and to catalog. But there was really like it's just get out. And when they pushed us out, we missed this commemorative box set. All right, which is a big deal for a lot of people. I wasn't really gonna try. Right. Once I realized I didn't get it, people were walking out with like 10 and like they weren't passing them out. And it's become, I was checking them out on eBay before. I don't know if you saw the actual the thing that was missed, but it's a golden ticket, right? And it's actually at least something special because some people didn't get tickets. Now, what I did get last night, okay, was a ticket. And Drew, this is a big announcement, a big reveal. Okay, maybe one step in the evolution of KISSUES. I did not buy one piece of merchandise from Madison Square Garden at these final two shows. Not even the bomber jackets that I wanted. It's a hot blue bomber jacket. I got to see if I can hunt this down. Be willing to let this one go.
Is there a reason?
Yeah, it looks like something you can. My buddy said he's like, I don't live in New York. I can't pull that off. He goes, but it's something where, you know, and I'm not a Mets fan, but it's almost got the blue, like the Mets blue. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
are they going for like a Knicks color scheme?
I don't know what it is, just
MSG?
a different look. Red letters on blue. Like this is a destroyer.
Oh, okay.
This is a destroyer bomber jacket.
Oh,
okay?
sure.
I don't know why I got this. I don't know why I got this. There was no moment for us to be like, yeah, we did it. We, you know, our band that was just legitimized a little bit for us anyway, you know, in the eyes of New York City. We kind of felt like we didn't get that little moment. We just got shoved out. Then it became about who didn't get their golden tickets and how are we going to get them and making calls to whoever's inside. And it really, and I'm talking for a lot of like the people that were there for that. Not everybody was there for that. You know, there's some people sitting down for some of the show, like up front, like you're like, how did you end up here to just, you know, okay, fair enough. So it's not like the fans, you know, this, like, it's not always the fans. I've been there recently for fan bands, right? Where fans of a band are so rabid at a point, seeing Boy Genius.
Yeah, I was just
about a month ago to say
Genius.
To see Kiss, right? And I love them both. You know, obviously Kiss, I have a lot more history, but I like the band Boy Genius, and to see them live with their people and their crowd there and that energy in that room, comparable, I'm sure, for those people to what I experienced there in 1996 with Kiss. Sure. And that kind of thing where you're like, this is for us, this is ours. And like, you know, and to see it and to see that kind of like, you know, music played live, that's amazing. That's what this is like all about, whether it's Kiss or whether it's another band. Not only did COVID obviously change the touring industry as a whole, right? As a whole, in a lot of different ways, it interrupted this tour. Like I said, this was supposed to end July of 2021. So who knows what
happened with Elton John too, right?
I believe
Elton John had a huge farewell tour that got cut off too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of big artists too.
Sure. Yeah. I think really what happened for a lot of people, you know, personally, you know, I used it as a time to sort of just listen to the music that I had, right? I didn't have a whole lot going on, didn't get back into my career in live events for quite a while. So I had to wait and worked at the record store, thankfully, as a like a blessing of all blessings, to be in a place where new music comes in, you can learn about it, you can hear it from other people, and you start going like, wow. The record store sort of provided me a place to get into other artists. And it wasn't like I was trying to do anything. I just felt that post-COVID, for me to go see legacy artists, okay, I tell the kids I gave the best years of my life to Motley Crue. You know what I mean? I've seen them all. I've done it all. I love them. Been there. At some point, I'm not going to say it's always diminishing returns. It doesn't have to be. But if you're the kind of person that's going to, I've seen Kiss, like 12, maybe 15 times altogether. Ace Frehley, maybe 15 times altogether, right? That's nothing. this, what you're seeing around me, you asked me if I was a collector and to start putting the bow on this with music in the record store and all this. It's not a it's really like, I'm trying to get too many thoughts going. See, now you got to keep me focused here at the end. But like, what I want to say is I was able to focus on bands that weren't legacy bands that were just going to go out there and be like the retreads. And I love it. I want to have my memories. I don't want to go out there and see a Mick Marsless Motley Crue. I don't want to go out there and see a 4-hour Guns N' Roses show with a bunch of covers, or a Metallica show with just like, or a band that calls themselves Pantera. Now, I don't want to upset any friends that I might have that might be, you know, as stoked for all this stuff. It's fine. It's fine. But when you've seen, you know, when you've seen these bands at the height of their powers, is important to say, because coming back to the record store, when like music came in, that really got me. And look, I've always listened to different music my entire life. I started out, like, my daughter has a name after a vocal group that I listened to when I was like 15 years old, right? So like there's music that I'll listen to. It doesn't matter what it is. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's one genre or another, or how you make your music. I don't care if you use live instruments. I don't care if you use electronics. I don't care what you do. I've seen recently more people at like St. Vitus it's just a screen and projector, some noise coming off a laptop, and everybody's yelling. I'm like, it's Bible. It's just as Bible as anything else. I'm not going to sit there and fault it. It comes from inspiration and creativity. There's nothing wrong with any of that. So my point is, things come in that inspired me to go like, let me check this out and this out. And like, whoa. And now, like, you know, to think I saw like Margot Price more than Kiss this year is like wild. But that's great. That's exactly what this should be.
You're setting up now for a future without Kiss, or maybe a future with virtual Kiss. I don't know, but you know, we're
that
heading
is certainly
away from it in some direction.
It's going to help. It's going to help, you know, get through. It's part of this therapy that I will need to get through my KISSUES, to get on.
But it's been there. You through it. Yeah.
But I've been there. I feel like I've already been there a lot this year. And this is my hope for all the people that I know there that have devoted their lives to seeing each other in this community, that love this band because it brings them together with people. I went to conventions alone. I've traveled alone for all this because my friends are there. You know, you grow up with people, and yeah, you've seen them when you were younger with so-and-so, and people fall off and they fall out, you know, and the big thing about Kiss and conventions and the spirit of Kiss was like, somebody convinced me at one point through listening to Kiss podcasts a long time ago that going to shows alone is the ticket. Like, go. And it stuck. Because when I was younger, I mean, I got a lot of, you know, regrets. And I encourage anybody, go to shows alone. Go. Don't. You'll find your people, man. Your people are there.
Absolutely.
And all the people that now have no place to go or something to do, right? Maybe we'll see each other at the virtual shows or whatever that is. But there's a lot of people. And what really broke my heart to see everybody that I kind of love, that I've met over these 4 or 5 years or longer, but you know, for this tour, you know, to see each other at all these places, just go like, what was that? What was that, Kiss?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, but we love you. We love you.
You can't say that this was out of the cards. You can't say that this was, I mean, planned, this is
calculated, and it tracks. This is par for the course.
It totally tracks.
And you know what? I think maybe if there's people like me who feel like the wool was pulled over our eyes, we're a little bit upset with ourselves for like obviously not seeing how blatant this could be and how it could be done. Like I said, especially after the fact that night one, for people that were there to experience it, was a little bit more heartfelt, but night two was just like, it's a pay-per-view, baby. Yep. You know, we're selling this.
Well,
and we're buying
there
it.
It is.
We're buying it.
It's still buying it, no matter what. Still looking for those golden tickets.
There was a great quote that was said to me by somebody that we can, I guess, say that we never would have expected to see at a Kiss show, based on the origins or the etymology of the show, where we've, you know, where this has come from. Really, we wouldn't expect somebody that maybe is more along the lines of, and that's fair to say, like your skepticism of the band, to be there at one of their final shows. You know, I mean, I was thinking of this individual driving home after the show, right? Drive like the hour and a half back and waking up the next morning, like being tired for work, going, what did I do? You know, besides make friends with the bartender, you know, but here's the funny thing. When I sent certain people, like, did you see what they just did? Right. And the response after the link was, of course, you know, there's an off ramp here. You're in traffic. You just have to decide if you take the chance or keep on the highway. To which, let's see, where did that one go? This is important to show. We could kind of do. Ends with the show poster, the limit. I was gifted this, a limited lithograph of the final show, which if you saw this before the final announcement, wouldn't have made much sense. Let's see.
Yeah.
Now it makes perfect sense, terrifying sense of what this is. The cartoon version of this augmented reality, virtual reality version of the band that we're going to see going forward.
All along to the T's.
Now it's numbered, okay, out of 1,000, and it's you got the date as the 2nd. So this is a chaser, right? This is the thing there's only a few at each merch stand, and when they open, that's it. And certain people, they know and they get it. And some people, like I said, in the community, we love each other, man. A lot of what you see are gifts. A lot of KISS things, I mean, are gifted, right? And you do it to each other. It's like the mutual, admiration society, where you show up somewhere and like, how many autographs of Ace Frehley do I need? Actually, here's a question, Drew. How many autographs of Ace Frehley do I have?
Oh, drop a comment below on how many autographs you think Rob has of Ace Frehley for a chance to, I don't know, win a piece of confetti from one of his bags of your choice. How about that?
I'm still pulling out confetti from my ears. But there was a point where I knew. There's a point where it wasn't worth even keeping trying. And I was kind of like, I don't want to know anymore. And it wasn't because I'm going out there trying to get stuff. I mean, all this stuff comes with like, a moment hanging out, and wanting to just enjoy and say thank you. To me, I meet a lot of people. And if I want to get a record signed, it's because I want to tell somebody how much, it means to me. And I want to thank them. And I get it signed now for my daughter. And I want to like start her off with like a real good, like, what a collection. She could do what she likes with, obviously I've raised a child who loves KISS, who thinks like KISS is like, which is something else that you kind of have to reconcile yourself with, right? Like, what am I passing on? Like, what am I, hopefully, Drew, I think our dads both, probably got us into baseball, right? With the Yankees when we were younger. So there's our Venn diagrams there. And like, this is not very different than if you see the basement, where my dad has, all his stuff, to this day, we have it there. And, it's a museum. Like, and everybody would say it when they came over. And I remember going like, he never bought himself anything. It was all gifts, like, people who knew him, relatives, what do you get him? And like, I'm talking, but a lot of the things that were cool was like, he would go to the fan festivals at the Javits with the Yankees, right? And meet the Yankees, get them to sign and like, thank them. And I'd see these conversations. And like, when it came time to be able to do that myself and go to these shows and see KISS to the point where I can thank them and meet them and just say thank you. There's, I say a lot of other bullshit, but I start off there. I say thank you, and I just what you've given us. I mean, like it's amazing what this band has given so many people, and it's fair for them to do what they were going to do. But I think the reason why this show existed and why now, well, I don't want to do a KISS podcast. I don't want to do anything like that. But I don't think this is a KISS podcast.
No, and we're going to get into so much more beyond that too, and just collecting as a whole. And we might even have some people on that collect other bands stuff or other things to collect, and just kind of dig into that and just the mindset, the psychology behind collecting it and just loving something. I mean, there's so many jokes about my generation now, how like we can't afford houses and stuff, so we just like collect something we like, because that's all we can do. Our budgets are limited as is, and that's kind of the path that the economy and whatever has taken us down. But so there's a lot of different ground, there's a lot of different things that people love to collect. There's a lot of different reasoning behind why people collect certain things, and I think KISS is just like, there's a limited amount of bands out there that have elicited this much in terms of collecting. Obviously the Beatles, Elvis, and KISS is a huge one. And then you got like newer bands that are
from the Beatles.
Absolutely. And it's brilliant marketing.
Mhm.
whether or not you see it as cheap or cold or whatever. I mean, that's what a lot of us seem to feel, and I do feel that way in a lot of ways with the way that Kiss presents themselves. But you're still able to make it a personal thing. It's about the community. It's about the people that you meet and the experience that you have together. Seeing this band of people that just kind of want money, but
But
that's what it
ultimately,
is.
it's about the music, Drew. And I have to say that because, I can put on some music and I love some of their most unpopular things with their common fans and with their core fans. I love it all. And I'm not saying like I want to be a homer for a band and love everything they do. I mean, I really love it and appreciate it. Like, and there's great songs, for all you might want to listen to, but then you can go listen to something else. Like, you don't have to always listen to them. There's
Right.
people that only listen to Kiss, right? And for me, what I think is pretty interesting that you said about, like, generally generationally, like what you can do. Like, we should address this. Like, I guess, are we doxing ourselves generationally here? I believe that I am a Gen Xer, right?
Yeah,
I
I
was
am
born.
just on the edge of Gen Z and millennial.
Yeah.
Like
And a
some
lot,
say, the last year of millennial.
I feel like I'm on that cusp too. I don't know. I was born in 1979, so I was grandfathered into the best generation, right? The best
Yep.
decade. I don't know. I got to see it all, and I don't think that this happened because I wanted it to, but so much happened because it accumulated, and I didn't get rid of things. There's people that are smart enough to get rid of things. There's people that I don't collect stuff. There are certain things, and I won't. We'll just do a visual here. Like, there's roads that I've taken that, like, no, nobody that ain't calling this a crisis. You're not being honest with yourself. Like, this is great, but it's nostalgia. And what I will say, and it ties in with Kiss, like, whatever you like, it ties into your nostalgia. And I felt for such a long time when I was chasing a lot of Kiss merchandise, or like that feeling at expos of like their generation's nostalgia, right? The makeup generation. Mine was the no makeup generation. So there was an appropriate time where I decided, going back out from a couple of years of taking years off from seeing shows. I didn't see shows for 2.5 years. So to go back out, these are the last two shows I've seen Kiss post COVID. So that meant a lot too. Like, I held off. I didn't go to see any other cities. I wanted to see the last shows at Madison Square Garden, where I started with them, where I was going to end it, to go there with like my high school friends and my ex-girlfriend, to my wife and my daughter, as an older man. And you just kind of go, and life goes by like that, and then you're there and it's over. And these guys seem very capable, and in that moment, like, you're there. I'm feeling it right now. It's like you're there and you can celebrate it, and it makes no sense, but when you do it for so long, and you give that to people for so long, and you don't give them the chance to take their little victory lap, some people are going to feel like you stole the magic from us just a little bit. You stole the magic. I'm not talking about politics of justifying this or that or the other. You stole the magic from the people that I feel deserved it the most, not the new audience that you're introducing it to, that you could have introduced it to literally an hour later, or literally 5 minutes later, or literally, like when the end credits come up on a movie,
Mm.
right? Like, we
Couldn't
did
they
the
have
show
just
in the
put that?
goodbye,
They could have put it on Instagram right after the show ended.
and well, the QR codes came right up on the Kiss Army flags, which was like, okay. So we
Yeah.
don't have to go down too many more roads here. I think we've set up like a pretty good introduction. It's not. This is episode 1. We should do a proper episode 0 when we can formulate like the what's and whys maybe. But I think this is important to just do. This wasn't thought out. Nothing was prepared here. I had to get on and say my piece, and I'm a little bit more composed than I was like this morning. Even I got a little nap in this afternoon. I woke up, took care of, like getting myself like, all right, this is now the post physical form era of Kiss.
Yep. So that's it. I mean, if you went to the shows, did you feel the same way? Did you feel kind of robbed by the final moments of Kiss on stage? The
And
Kiss
what
that
would you hope? What would you hope for whoever you love? They got to go out on their terms. And let me end on this. For 50 years, they never stopped. They never stopped playing. Maybe they've stopped recording original albums towards the end, but like, they've never stopped. As a band, as an organization, for 50 years. They should have failed so many times. So to be here after all these years is something that, like, it really, and yes, it's been celebrated, but it could have been done in a way that, you know, doesn't leave some people feeling like, oh man, that was weird, right? That was, and that's a nice way of putting it. Like it felt like just pretty cheap and cold. Like you could have waited and done it. Like let the show end, say something like as a thank you to everybody, a heartfelt thank you, and then maybe roll the clip. I don't know. They went right into like, but it's the beginning of a new era. And Drew, this is the beginning of a new era for KISSUES.
It sure is. Finally got to make this happen. I'm glad we were able to make it happen, even though we're not in the same state anymore.
I miss you, Drew. I miss you. I miss my bullshit. I miss, you walking in and me just hitting you with some bullshit,
it was always a great feeling of just, here he comes with something I don't care about, and that's just how it is, and it's nice,
Yeah. I mean, sometimes somebody needs to be told that the world doesn't deserve the greatness of David Lee Roth,
Exactly. Now, with everything in mind, if you liked any of what we said in this video, if you want to tag along on this journey with us, you dig into collecting and everything like that, be sure to like this video, share it with some of your KISS friend buddies or fans of any band, hardcore. Give us a subscribe, all of that good stuff.
And go
We
easy,
love you.
right? Time out. Hold on. Go easy. This is where I want this to be pretty organic too. And the fact is, you don't have to like it. You could just tell me why you don't like it. That's fine. And honestly,
Exactly.
You said something before that I want to point to. Like, obviously, we're peacocking a little bit right now, but the truth is, like, part of this and part of KISSUES has to be, and this is a very much a realization, it has to stop. Like certain things have to stop, like the variance of all the albums, I have to get rid of a lot of this stuff. I can't saddle people with this one day. It's too much,
Yep.
It's become a lot, and it's something that has to be purged. Do we need any of this? No. And it's not something that is meant to be shown off in a way. This is literally just a messy room where I shouldn't have showed it all. So we'll end right there.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody.